Okie dokie. Today we have a replay for myself and Lamb Sauce King, one of our patrons on the channel. Got ourselves an interesting little matchup here. We were playing a best of 5 for a tournament, and I brought out the Vampire Coast, who I've been playing a lot with recently. He brought out Dark Elves. He said he had a spicy build, and spicy it was. I also tried Mortars. Somebody had suggested them, and I have feelings on it, but we'll get into that later. For my build, I have 3 animated Hulks, 2 dogs, 5 handgun mobs, Shade Wraith Gunners, Deck Gunners, Regiment Renown, 2 bombers, and then a front line of Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs, and then 1 Depth Guard because I had an extra amount of money. I do have a Vampire Fleet Admiral of Death with Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, plus the Black Periap thing. I don't know how to say that word. Yeah, that gives you more regen. On the other side, for the Dark Elves, 2 Cold One Knights, a Cold One Dread Knight, triple Bolt Thrower, triple Dark Shard, quadruple Dark Shard. And we have some Blackheart Corsairs, Dread Spears, Lokir Fellheart on foot with his Helm of the Kraken regen, and then a Firecaster with just Burning Head. The duel is out. My mortars are firing on Dark Shards right now as Lokir piles into my bombers to stop them from firing. My Shade Wraith Gunners are currently shooting at one of the Reaper Bolt Throwers to try and get rid of them. Mortars are missing the Dark Shards, unfortunately, but it's whatever, I guess. My handgun mobs on the side are going to push off Cold One Knights, allowing my dogs to go uncontested into the backfield. Meanwhile, my Deathcaster takes a bit of a duel with Lokir Fellheart, which was not wise, and I now start ordering her away, but she is staggered currently by the Master Duelist himself. Cold One Dread Knights piling into my Depth Guard, while a Burning Head goes rolling through my lines. Friendly fires a couple Blackheart Corsairs, but overall quite worth it for my opponent. Dogs are in the backfield doing their best, and I get a Fate of Buna off onto Cold One Knights that are right in front of handgun mobs, so we entirely take out that full health Knight unit in one go. Meanwhile, my Crab is still trying to get away from Lokir, who's after her. I do have some overlap with Shade Wraith Gunners and Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs getting in each other's way. That's a bit of a whoopsie, and I'll have to fix that. But the Dark Elf front line is falling apart a bit. We are getting into that juicy back line, though unfortunately for us, 3 Bolt Throwers are still up and firing, and 2 Dark Shards are relatively uncontested. That one right there is getting attacked by dogs. My dogs are so low that they'll probably prevail, and then it'll be 3 Dark Shards back online. For me, I've had some handgun mobs harassing Lokir. Still have a mortar up and firing at stuff. 2 handgun mobs are very healthy on the far side, just peppering the Reaper Bolt Throwers a little bit, trying to take them down, and also shooting sideways into these Dread Spears. Cold One Knights charge. Cold One Dread Knights charge my handguns and the Shade Wraith Gunners, but Lokir's not having a good time. My Pistol Caster is just poking away at him, also casting Spirit Leeches on him, slowly whittling that guy down. Dark Elves are getting a bit of a second wind in this backfield as my animated Hulks are running out of steam. Cold One Knights have rallied to defend this area, and Dark Shards will also be offering a little bit of support. Kind of stop halfway into that transition. Good formation here, guys. Good formation, Dark Shards. Patch 4.1 delivering, as always, on the jank. Shade Wraith Gunners are going to obliterate some Dark Shards, get rid of them with that nice Discouraged leadership debuff. My Depth Guard are fading away. Most of my front line is gone too. I still have 2 very healthy handgun mobs in the distance. My front line, my melee units are almost non-existent at this point. My last mortar just disappears. Bounce power is a little bit in my favor, and I do tend to agree. Another Spirit Leech onto Lokir. It's my handgun mob. Gets attacked by him, but Dread Spears should be able to support him and get rid of those extra troops. Dark Shards are really finishing off my animated Hulks, and these Bolt Throwers are still online. Even that one over here that I've been shooting at for like 75 years. More handgunners firing at these Dread Spears, trying to peel them off, while the Shade Wraith Gunners focus mostly on chain routing Dark Shards. I realized at this point that I just need to abuse their leadership and chain route them rather than kill them off, so route them 3 times so that they shatter. Lokir actually routes, and then I put my Vampire Fleet Admiral into melee with him to just chase him down and make sure he can't come back. Because I do need that leadership spike against the Dark Elves. If I can kill Lokir, so many of these low units will get going. And my Shade Wraith Gunners, with their massive -16 leadership debuff, could be even more brutal. But a very nice Burning Head from my opponent hits 2 of my overlapped gunnery mobs, takes about half health off of both of them. Don't know if it was overcast or not. I suspect not if they didn't outright die. Things are getting a little concerning for me, just a little bit. Dark Elves have a lot of infantry left. Some of them are just going to run up my Shade Wraith Gunners. And I don't have a whole lot left. Still trying to track down Lokir, catch up to him. He's surprisingly fast on foot. I think my Crabcaster's only 2 speed faster than him when he is exhausted and wounded. Shade Wraith Gunners firing at this clump right here, since these Dread Spears are too healthy and they're too happy. I don't think my Shade Wraith Gunners could actually get rid of them, so there wasn't a whole lot I could do there. Handguns are turning sideways to help out a little bit. Cold One Dread Knights back in for now, but they will rout soon. How's the Lokir chase going? Lokir's dead. All right, Lokir's dead, and we see a mass Dark Elf exodus from this point. I get some handgunners to separate out. My Shade Wraith Gunners are still fighting to the very end. So the Dark Elves aren't looking so good. Bounce power is in my favor. I'm liking that, I'm liking that. I've accepted that my Shade Wraith Gunners are probably dead. I now use my handgun mobs to just shoot at this lonely Fire Sorceress in the middle of nowhere, try and rout her off. And if I can get rid of her, I'm feeling pretty good. On this side, I'll keep the angle like this so you can see what's going on over there. On this side, my Vampire Fleet Admiral did do a bunch of dodging to get to these Dark Shards without taking too much damage, and then she gets into them, and in the distance, a Burning Head goes down. Both these guys still stacked on top of each other. That is definitely a mistake on my part. You should never have them on top of each other. So big damage coming in there, but I leave these Dark Shards. I see other Dark Shards closing in and these Bolt Throwers, so I can't afford to sit in melee with them, so I just drop a Fate of Buna on them as I leave. Then my handgun mobs firing away at the Sorceress of Fire. Trying to get rid of her at last, but man, that Burning Head did a lot of damage to my poor handguns. Fate of Buna straight up deletes those Dark Shards. They were just too injured to come back from such a thing. And Bounce Power is all of a sudden slightly in the Dark Elf's favor, but the Sorceress of Fire, trying to get into melee combat, is getting gunned down as she runs, but so is my Vampire Fleet Admiral. Bounce Power is danger low for me. Look at the damage the Sorceress of Fire is taking up there, but also my poor little Deathcaster. I try to disrupt the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Now that I've knocked them off their mounts, I try to get into these Dark Shards, but I run into a Bolt Thrower. I can't get past it. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Step Bro, help me! As I just get past it, I'm gonna get point blank shot by the Dark Shards, so no disruption for me. The Sorceress of Fire was killed by my handguns. My Lord was killed by the Dark Shards, so both sides lost any form of magic, any form of leadership whatsoever. We are down to a Bolt Thrower crew, a Dark Shard, and a Blackheart Corsair versus 2 handgun mobs who are both very injured and low on leadership. Handgun mobs are gonna try and peel off the Blackheart Corsairs, which they do. This is the whole battle now, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very injured troops on both sides. Bounce power is about 50-50, maybe slightly in my opponent's favor. Handguns are trying to fire at those Dark Shards, make sure they can't tee off onto us too much. These other handguns are moving up. They'll deal with the Dread Spears, but my guys that are more in range need to stop those Dark Shards. It is a priority. Dread Spears get shot. Dread Spears run away. Handguns still firing over at the Dark Shards. We're both trading a lot of damage, and these multi-shot Bolt Throwers not doing a ton, but they are getting me to crumble, and crumbling is the scariest part. I'm still down to the balance of power. Little bullets, though, ticking across these Dark Shards, and my second gunnery mob is about to join the fight. Big volleys, big damage, and they rout. Everything is routing except for the Bolt Thrower crew. Can they hold? Can they hold? We saw how long it took my handguns over here to kill a Bolt Thrower at the very start of the game, and this is all we have left as one of my guys stops crumbling, but the other one, no shot. He's going to keep crumbling to the very end. They get into range of the Bolt Thrower, and I stop and fire. I could try to get closer, but I'm so worried about their crumbling damage, I just need to fire. A little bit of damage, not very much, just coming in. Bolt Throwers have switched back to single shot to try and knock out as many models as possible. As these little handguns firing away at the Bolt Thrower crew. Doing decent damage. Bolt Throwers firing back. These guys are so close to disintegrating that they'll fade away entirely, but Bolt Thrower is super fucking low. Balance Power's back at the coast favor, but there goes my support. 0 leadership on my last guy. He's barely hanging in there, but the Bolt Thrower crew's taking a ton of damage. He's not crumbling just yet. The Dark Shard returns in the distance. And then the Bolt Thrower crew, 5 leadership, 1 leadership on that Dark Shard, and these guys rally. They're feeling it. They're feeling themselves, with Bounce Power still 50-50. They get a couple more shots off. Bolt Thrower crew not taking a lot of damage from those bullets. Just sailing over their heads for the most part. And they haven't gotten off a volley in quite a while. As more bullets streak in, doing more damage. There they rout, and when they rout, the Dark Shards rout. And the Coast will win it with, not a lot left! Not a lot left. My opponent and I were talking. I was surprised both the Burning Heads that hit 2 units in a row were very good, but I was surprised the second one didn't, like, outright kill them. That was a little shocking. And then that crumbling at the end, I didn't crumble, was also a little weird, but sometimes leadership's just bullshit, I guess. As for my build, my Deathcaster did great. Depth Guard, like I said, I just had extra money, so I bought a Depth Guard as a frontline unit. Like, most of what I wanted was these handgun mobs and mortars, and those are cheap. And then for mobility, I mean, Mourngulls suck. I'd rather have animated Hulks, and they're cheap. So it's like, I want all these units. They all happen to be cheap, so might as well get a Depth Guard. Shaders Counters did amazingly. Mortars sucked. Mortars were terrible. They're both shooting at Dark Shards all game, and one of them even lasted a long time. The one that lasted a long time only got 150 value for 600 cost. It's ridiculous. They're still shit. Handgunners did fantastically. Dogs did okay. Animated Hulks did okay. Bombers struggled, but Low-Kier shut them down pretty well. And my zombies did alright. And aside for Lamb Sauce, Low-Kier struggled to get much value. I really shut down his cavalry, though I did put a ton of energy into it. His bolt throwers and burning headcasts were very annoying for me. Dark Shards did pretty darn well. Dread Spears and Blacker Corsairs did mixed. GG.
Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.